Hello and welcome back there. So in this part we're going to be working on some of the tabs to go on the sink and the bath. Now they're predominantly going to be the same sort of tab. If you go over to the references directory I've supplied you, you'll see there's a couple of images here. There's one with like dimensions on, and there's a sort of photo there. So this is the sort of tab we're going to go for. What we're going to do, we're going to make one like this for the sink and one without this piece on for the bath, and we're going to mount these sort of tap ends onto the actual wall. So we're going to have a little variant, but they're basically both going to be the same sort of square base to round cylindrical section to this sort of square sort of bend. We're not really going to follow these. We've got some measurements here just to give us a bit of an idea, but we're not really going to be following those like set in stone. So basically the first thing we're going to do is work out the get this sort of section together, and I'll show you how to, because I get asked quite a lot, how to sort of join cylinder objects to square objects. Now for this you can see there's a sort of you can see there's obviously a sort of break there, so this could just easily be made as a cylinder sitting on top of a sort of box, but I will just show you for just to show you the sort of technique I use just for sort of cutting two objects together. So we'll do that first, and also from the measurements that we haven't really got all the required measurements we need to make this anyway. We've got the sort of distance of this pipe here, and from the middle of the sort of pipe to this plug sort of lever, but we don't actually know the width of this square anyway, I don't believe anywhere. Oh, 60 mil. Okay, so we'll go with 60 mil square. We don't know the height of this. We know the total height, but we don't really know the height of that. So we'll say if that's 220, we'll say that's about 90, say high. Okay. So what I'm going to do, just over here somewhere, I'm just going to create a new mesh layer. I'm just going to call this bath tap. I'm going to go over to a top view. Okay, we'll just move out of the way a bit. I'm going to go over to basic modeling tools, and I'm going to go over to the queue. We're going to make this with sub D again. Okay, so we're going to go in there and we're going to change these to 60 mil. I'm just going to give that base a bit of height. We'll go to 4 mil just to keep our numbers as easy as possible. So even easier, we'll go to 5 mil. Okay, we'll spacebar drop the tool. Okay, so that's our base basically now. I'm just gonna select everything here. And I'm just going to center it in the world just for me putting the cylinder in. I'll just make life a bit easier, that's all. Okay, so now we're going to turn snapping on. I'm going to turn the grid on. We don't need a constraint. Okay, and I'm going to go over to the cylinder tool. I'm going to put 8 sides on. I'm just going to pull this out like so. Let's go over to a perspective, and I said we were going to make this about 90. Maybe 80. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we're going to select this cylinder and I'm going to move this so it's basically just sort of sitting on the base there. Now when we go over to sub D, that's going to smooth, so don't worry, but we've only got 8 sort of faces around here. When we go to sub D, that's going to be nice and smooth anyway. Now the problem we have is basically we've got this polygon here, and let's hide this bottom one just so we can see. We've got the polygon there. Now they've got different, obviously, numbers of edges, number of sides, and the easy way to sort of do this is to basically just keep something symmetrical. So you can see as I go around this pipe here, there's a point here, basically in the middle of this edge here. There's one looking towards that point there. There's one looking towards that point there, and that makes life basically as easy as pie for us. There's no worries here at all for joining these together. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete that bottom face. I'll unhide everything again just so we can see. And I'm going to... So basically now we basically need a point here to join this to this. We've already got one in this corner. So the easiest way we can do this is basically just select this object here, and we'll do Shift D, and we'll basically just subdivide it. Now you'll see we've got a nice vertex there to match this one. We'll have one there and one there, etc. So what we'll do, we'll just grab these 4 polys, and I'm just going to hit delete. Okay, so now we're ready to go. We're going to go straight over to vert mode, and we're basically going to just select one, and we're just going to go around in like an anti-clockwise motion there. Just select 4, hit the P key, draw poly. We start again. And if you don't do them in order, I mean like in a sort of a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction, you'll get crossed polys. So we're just bombing around. Okay, so we're going to continue round. Just hold down the Shift key, just selecting them, hit the P key. Nearly done. Okay, so that's us joined on there. Now if we hit the tab key and go to sub Ds, you can see us blending in. Okay, next we want to do, we don't want it to sort of come right out the edge here. I want it to come down. Basically, I want this square. If we go back over to the reference images, you can see it's basically square. So what we can do, we can just go to edges. I'm just going to double click on one of them just to select the loop. And I'm going to come over to edges here, and I'm going to hit slide. I'm going to leave duplicate turned on. Just click in the viewport. Now you can slide either way. You can slide up the pipe, or move mouse the other way. You can slide across. So we're going to put one in about there. And I'm going to slide again. And one in about there. Now this percentage just basically just works out as a percentage. You see this, take this piece here that's moved say a quarter of the way along that line, so this one's also moved say a quarter along, so this is why this gap here is slightly different to that gap there. But you can turn it on to distance and it'll basically just keep it the same. Now if we drop the tool, now we're going to sub D, you can see we've got a nice subtle curve there, but it's still basically square. Another thing like we normally do with these sort of arrangements is basically we want to square up this base. So we're going to do our usual, select the edges there, B key, we'll put a bevel on this, rounding level of 1. Just that will smooth that. This bottom section is never going to be seen, so we don't need that. Okay, so there's our base finished. Okay, next thing we need to do is we're going to basically put a square. So we're going to, same as this, we're going to put a square coming up out of there. So we're going to go through our top view to make sure we're not in sub D. Get our box cube primitive there. I'm just going to drag out now. I'm not sure how far this should go, so I'm just going to drag it up just some arbitrary amount at the moment. I'm just going to center that. Now in a side view, I'm just going to pull that up. So it's basically sitting on there. Okay. Now we've got the same again. We've got 8 sides around here. So we just need to grab this and we'll do Shift D. Just subdivide it. And we can delete that top face. And we'll go down here. I'll just hit H to hide that. Delete those, U to unhide. Okay, so now we're ready to rock and roll again. We're going to select. We'll start at a nice known point there. I'm going to come around here. Okay. So now we've got a nice cylinder going to a square. You might be able to use something like that for doing a electric toothbrush or something. So it's all good technique. We'll hit the edges. Firstly, we're going to bevel this off just to keep that square at the top there. Now we're going to just select that bottom edge here, and we're going to go same again. We're going to go over 2 edges and slide. We're going to pull one up there, and I'm also going to pull one along there. Okay, and that's sorted out our nice edges there. I'm also going to do, we'll just give this a test. I'm going to get my edges here, this edge, and I'm going to slide this with duplicate turned on into the middle, sort of about there. I'm going to grab the points. I'm just going to pull this one roughly into the middle. Okay, now we're going to grab that loop. I'm going to bevel this. Just to give me a little bit like that. And we're going to select these, up arrow key there. Now I'm going to hit the B key. So I'm going to come in a tiny piece, Shift B, down a tiny piece, Shift B, down, Shift B, down a tiny piece, shift click again, in, spacebar drop tool. Okay, and that'll just put a nice little groove in there, so this can sort of rotate this top. If we look at the oh, I don't have it open there. There was like a little split there. Just a bit of detailing really. Okay, at the top. So now we need to bend this over, so let's have a look. So it basically bends over, so this isn't quite coming straight down, it's sort of bending. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll just stick a bit more. We can always remove at the end, so what I'll do, I'm just going to pull this. Just so we've got plenty. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to look once more. Now it sort of comes up straight for a while. So we'll go back over to edges. And we'll say this is where it's going to be straight until. So we'll say it's straight till there. Then it starts bending round. Okay, so we'll get polys. Select 2, hit the L key to loop round. Alt C, click in the viewport. Then we'll put this on uniform. And we'll put the count up maybe to 50. Okay, we'll go over to a side view. Now it doesn't matter which way I bend this. Let's just check first we've got enough. I've got enough width there. Okay, we're going to go over to some of these deform tools. Let's have a look. We've got bend, so we're going to select that. Now I'm basically going to click where I want the bend to sort of originate from. And the other handle is the extremity of the bend, so we're going to pull this down onto the end. Now we're going to just bend this round like so. So that looks pretty good. I'm just going to make that. I'm just going to make that a bit wider. It was a bit scrawny. So there's not much water going to be able to get up there before. So we're going to do the same again. Over to bend. Click where we want the origin to be. And just stick that round to about there. Now we know the whole thing is 220. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make basically just make a box. Okay, we'll say 230. Just doesn't really matter for us. Just it's only a guide. We're going to select polys. I'm going to double click. Just going to move it over a bit just so we can see. I'm just going to scale it. Just a wee bit. And then just select these ones on the bend. I'm going to bring them down. Let's just move it into place and see. Let's just see how it looks. Okay. Just cut this piece down as well. And actually I'll put this piece a bit straighter there. Let's bring that down onto the bath. Okay. Now I think it comes out a bit too far. Okay, there's a slight bit of distortion there. Okay, I'm actually quite happy with that. Okay, we still need to sort out this end piece. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll have a little look here. We're going to hit the B key first. Let's just bevel that. Shift click in again. I'm just going to pull that up inside. We need a bit more meat there. Okay, so we'll hit the B key. Just going to bring that in. Shift click. Bring it in. Shift click. Bring it back a tiny amount, shift click, pull it back. And then these polys inside here, we're not ever going to see those. We'll just kill those. And I just need to tighten up this edge here, so I'm going to just select them. Be round and level of 1. Okay. Okay, so that's our tap, actual sort of water tap. Now we need two sort of handles, but I'll mount them on a little sort of chrome plate on the wall. So when we come back in the next part, we'll make those two handles. They're very simple, and then we'll take this again, and then we'll mount one handle coming out the side, and we'll do cutting to instead of cutting a pipe and like a cylinder and a cube, we'll cut a cylinder to a cylinder. So I'll see you back for that part. Bye for now.